Hello everyone and welcome to a new Zero Reviews. I am very excited as today we will be reviewing none other than Enrico Pucci and Whitesnake as seen in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. Whitesnake! Now, guys, I already took the liberty of taking these guys out of the packaging and inspecting them off camera. However, I wanted to provide an in-depth review, granted that this is my favorite villain other than Dio. Those of you who have watched my most recent videos, this first haul and this second haul, which if you haven't, watch them now, may remember this villain in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure tied with Enrico Pucci. Just a little foreshadowing. With that being said, let's get right into the review. Alright guys, so starting off with Pucci here, I want to take a quick look at the box provided by Medicos, which, may I say, is a very, very beautiful box. Zooming out here to 0.5, you can kind of get a full grasp of the box itself. Starting off from the top, you have the signature SAS Super Action Statue. Then on the side, you got Enrico P, short for Pucci. Then on the bottom here, you got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Japanese. On the side, you have a beautiful panel shot of the figure itself. Then on the back, you have a gorgeous collage showcasing basically the different poses you can put the figure in, as well as the accessories it comes with. And then on the other side, you got another panel shot. On the top, got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure once again. And on the bottom, you got some boring disclaimer and caution stuff. Moving on to the actual accessories, the figure comes in this black tray here, which if you pop open, you will be greeted with an array of accessories. And one thing I will say about Medicos, I love how they wrap their figures. When I received this, it was wrapped in this in addition to the individual little plastic wrappings, which I have off camera here. These right here that kind of protect the joints of the figure, especially the paintwork, which we'll take a closer look at in a moment. Now, behind this black tray, you actually are greeted with another layer of trays. Now, this came with a few things. The first being this sticker sheet, which you can see I've already removed some of the stickers, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. And then it comes with something that I personally love about Medicos, and it's the fact that every single figure they produce comes with this unique JoJo Bizarre Adventures stand. Now, you can see that I actually had removed some parts of the stand, but it basically comes like this. It's assembled. All you got to do is just plug the arm into the base. But the base comes with this very nice engraved JoJo Bizarre Adventure. But if you'd like, and it takes too much space, you can kind of just slide it and break it up into parts. You could swap it and connect it to other parts. You can also see that it provided an additional array of peg holes here. So if you get another figure, such as Whitesnake, who we have off camera, you can plug their clear arm into that and have him posed up there. So I love it. These figures are pretty difficult to stand without these clear stands. So I will recommend, or I do recommend, posing them with that. And it's also just an amazing accessory they throw in there, basically for free. So love that. Focusing on the actual accessories, we got the first alternate head sculpt, which is this beautiful screaming face here, which I think does a great likeness to Pucci. Then we also have his hat, of course, that I like to call his pilgrim's hat. At least that's what it reminds me of. And again, Medicos really does not play around with details. You can even see here on the cross, they engraved some details in there, some studs. So that's really nice. You can kind of pop it right on his head, make him look mysterious, kind of give him that Michael Jackson-esque look. Kind of up to you how you want to do that. I like to tilt it down a little bit. We'll set him back there. That looks crazy. Looking like a smooth criminal. Then we got the different array of hands here. So it may seem a little wacky or random, but the first is this right here, open palm with his, I guess, ring finger and middle finger together. Then you got this kind of pointer palm. I'm assuming this may be maybe for the disc. No, I don't think it is for this one. Maybe you could. He's kind of doing that peace sign. Then you have this one here, which I think this one is for the disc. So as you can see, it's kind of like a pointing hand, but you can kind of slide the disc in between. And I guess you can kind of hold it like that, which is pretty nice. And then you're given two fists, which this is originally what the figure came with. However, I swapped it out for the pose. And then another neutral hand. And then the other hands we'll look at when we inspect the figure. And then last but not least, you are given these 2 discs. Now, when you receive it, they actually look like this. This just clear, plain plastic disc. And then on your own, you will just peel off a sticker and you'll just paste it on the disc. Now, taking a closer look at these discs, you can choose to just make them plain, normal CD discs, or you can have them with their unique stickers. Now, Pucci comes with 2 unique sets. It comes with a set of Weather Report the user, and then a set of Weather Report the stand. Here is a closer look at that. So you got Weather Report the user, and then Weather Report the stand. Of course, being representative of Whitesnake's ability to, use CDs and take a stand user's powers. So that's pretty cool. Now, focusing on the figure itself, I'm really only going to go over the articulation once, given that this articulation is basically the same across all Medicos figures. It's basically the blueprint that they follow. So if you see the articulation of one figure, that's basically representative of all the figures. But looking at Pucci, I will forewarn you, the articulation on these figures is pretty limited. However, it makes up for that in the sculpt work and the artwork. Starting off on the top here, I do want to showcase the beautiful head sculpt they did here. I mean, setting it side by side with the source material, you cannot tell me that is not like it just popped out of the manga panel. Even the hair, you can even see there like all the different striations and the shading, everything. But as we work through the articulation, we'll take a look at the sculpt work. So starting off on the front here, guys, look at the shading throughout the figure. I'm sorry, it's just I keep getting obsessed with that. I'm a sucker for shading and sculpt work. But we have some movement here. We have a swivel at the shoulder as well as a ball joint. I will say it does not have a bicep swivel, which is a little disappointing. But again, like I said countless times, articulation or sculpt work and detail, I mean, it's up to you. Then we do have a double hinged elbow as well as a very slight swivel. And then we have a ball joint wrist where basically you just slide it off, and this is kind of what they look like. By the way, this is the other hand that I didn't showcase. It's just basically a neutral, relaxed palm hand. Same thing with the other arm. This one is kind of like a almost as if he's holding a gun or a trigger, but I really just use it to hold his belt. Moving down towards the waist, or actually the torso, you do have a ball joint right here in the center, right below his chest at his ribs. And then you have a ball joint here at his waist. You do have a swivel here, or a hinge rather, at the crotch area beneath the belt, so you can have articulation for the skirt. Same thing here for the sides, right beneath the belt. I really love that because it doesn't necessarily hinder the articulation too much. This is basically how far out you can go. And then forward, he basically has almost full range of articulation, which is nice. So that's cool. And then under the skirt, he has a ball jointed hip piece as well as a swivel at his thigh, double hinged knees, ball joint at the ankle, and then a swivel at the toe. So that basically goes over all the articulation that comes with these figures as a whole. I love that. Now, I do want to showcase the back because the details do not stop. As you can see, shading throughout the entire figure. Even here, they did the accurate presentation of how his ponytail runs through his collar, which I always thought was bizarre. But granted, it is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And then even there on the back, they still finished the belt. And I have to say, I love the metallic gold paint they use throughout the figure that is basically outlined by that dark brown, kind of representative or reflective rather of the color choice they chose for the packaging. But guys, need I say more? I mean, this is the definitive Enrico Pucci figure. You know, Medicos has basically mastered how to do JoJo figures. But with that being said, let's move on to Whitesnake. Alrighty guys, so here is Whitesnake, and can I say, the camera does not capture how gorgeous this figure is. I know I already glazed Pucci enough, but Whitesnake is especially impressive, granted that the entire figure is covered in this line of text, and I am surprised how detailed it is. Even in areas where, you know, Medicos could have gotten away with skimping out, such as the hips here, they still did a fantastic job of painting it throughout.
know my hips don't lie.
So that is gorgeous. Now, before taking an in-depth look at the figure, let's take a quick look at the accessories, starting off with the alternative head, which looks gorgeous. We got this really nice screaming head. I mean, guys, come on. Need I say more? Just shading throughout the head. You can see it's like a midnight purple with that dark shading that kind of builds up in the middle and then dissipates as it works its way throughout the crown. I mean, it looks awesome. And then for the hands, we have this first set here, which just is the relaxed hands. Again, look at that. Even from the bottom of the hand to its fingertip, got that gorgeous detail. Even in the inside, guys. It's just, I've never seen a company put so much effort into that. And then on each individual knuckle, you got the gold there. Love the gold accents on both Pucci and Whitesnake. Then you have this other set of hands here. These are a bit more open palm. This one seems to be a bit more extended figures, whereas this one seems to be, it's almost about to grab something. And then last but not least, you have these two different clutching hands, which I'll show you in a moment. But as you can see, one's kind of like a pointer. The other one's kind of like a, very good. But these are for the discs. So you basically can just slide the discs in just like that. One in between the fingers, the other in the hand. And there you go, you can hold the disc. Now, also, this comes with its own sticker sheet, but it is a different array. It actually comes with JoJo there, if you can kind of see. And it comes with Star Platinum. These are their part 6 appearances, but I think that's really, really cool. So you can either do, you know, weather report like I had done with these, right? If you get Pucci and if you get Whitesnake, which granted, you kind of got to get both of them. You'll get JoJo and stuff. Whitesnake just kind of face planted in the back there. But anyways, that's really nice. And then last but not least, it comes with the stand. I haven't opened the stand yet, but basically this is what it comes like in the packaging. So that's really nice. But that basically sums up all the accessories. So taking a closer look at the figure itself, as I had mentioned earlier, it looks gorgeous. And I think the stature is pretty big. He's basically a head taller than Pucci. So I like that. Makes him, you know, a very big presence. No pun intended there. But very, very nice. Love that. Again, articulation is identical to Pucci, although it may be a bit more free range with the legs and stuff. Granted that there's no hindrance from a skirt, or this mini skirt doesn't really get in the way whatsoever. Again, no bicep swivel, which is kind of, you know, annoying, but whatever. You can make do. And then the head, I mean, look at the head, guys.
Bruh.
Looks gorgeous all throughout. Figures paint apps are gorgeous. Another thing about Medicos that I like to make note of, these are the manga colorways. In the anime, Pucci's outfit is black and Whitesnake is basically this exact color scheme, but replace all the midnight purple with black. However, SAS loves to, or Medicos loves to do alternate colorways, and the anime colorways of a figure tend to be a lot more expensive. I know Pucci has a black version that's crazy expensive. And then Whitesnake, I'm not sure if SAS has gone and produced a Whitesnake with his anime accurate appearance. Regardless, it's not that big of a deal. And I mean, these look like they literally just jumped out of the manga panel. So, need I say more? But that basically just about sums up the review of Whitesnake and all his accessories. Alrighty guys, so for the final segment of this video, as we do in all Zero reviews, I have to give my rating. So overall, across the board, rating these figures together, I'm going to give both of them a solid 7 out of 10. Now, these figures are amazing. They're gorgeous. However, they do have some flaws. The biggest flaw being the articulation. That's going to deduct 2 points. These figures are at times very fragile or difficult to articulate, or straight up missing vital points of articulation, such as a bicep swivel. Again, you have to understand that's a caveat for them being so detailed artistically, as well as having amazing sculpt work. But at the end of the day, they are a figure, and I know a lot of people want to be able to have the liberty to pose their figures in all these crazy poses, which Medicos can't really provide, you know, more, a lot of the times, granted that, you know, they're not really made for articulation. And then I'm going to deduct another point because of the price point. Medicos are so insanely difficult to find for a good deal here in the States that it's not even funny. I personally have my best luck using Mercari and eBay as well as sites that ship directly out of Japan. However, I will say it's very hard. And if you want to get a fan favorite figure, it's a lot of the times locked behind a ridiculous paywall. So other than that, I think it's an amazing figure. If you can afford it and you're willing to put up with the limited articulation, I mean, buy it. I mean, I don't know why you haven't bought it already. I think it is an amazing portrayal of a figure, or rather of a character and their stand, especially Enrico Pucci being one of the coolest villains in my opinion in all of JoJo. However, I am biased. But again, overall, I think it's a great figure and I do recommend purchasing it. But guys, with all that being said, that just about concludes this video. Please stay tuned for future reviews as I have plenty of more figures coming. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and peace.